Welcome back, folks, to hashtag AskGSM, the weekly Monday Mailbag video where I answer your questions on Facebook and Twitter right here in this video forum. Before we get started today, I just want to throw this out there. I might be considering doing a live stream this upcoming Saturday night. I've had some people say that they would like to see me play SmackDown versus Raw GM mode. And I've done videos of that in the past, or put up videos of that in the past, but never anything live. So if you're interested in that, you can hit me up on Facebook and Twitter or in the comments below. I'll probably be providing further updates on that in the coming days. I'm not really sure if I'd be able to do it on Saturday night, if I might be busy, but just to kind of throw that out there. But nonetheless, to this week's questions. The first question comes from Jared J. Before I even go into his question, I would just like to say thanks to Jared. I mean, he sent in probably a question almost every, if not every, single edition of this show since its start last July. He's been an awesome supporter of the show. He always brings up, always asks great questions, not the same old stuff. So I really appreciate Jared sending in this stuff and everybody who sends in questions, but Jared specifically because he sends in questions almost every single video, especially with Andre and a lot of the Facebook people too, send in questions all the time, and it really does mean a lot to me. Helps out the show a lot. So then I've known Jared for like 2 years now too. He's awesome, so I just want to throw that out there. But his question was, if you could call up one NXT star, who would you pick and how would you debut them? It would have to be Sami Zayn, and I've said this before, but I would debut Sami Zayn by bringing him in as an open challenge. Like, I was thinking this before a couple weeks ago when I thought Cesaro would win the IC Championship, and of course it's out of the realm of possibility right now, since Barrett will probably win the tournament tonight, and I'm filming this before Raw, and if people watch this later on in the week, you probably know better than I do, of course. But I'm thinking that Barrett wins the championship, but I thought it'd be cooler if Cesaro was the IC champion, and whether he gets treated like every other IC champion before him is beyond me, and he probably would be treated like shit, because everyone who holds that title, it's like a curse. It's like a fucking curse. You don't want to hold that championship. But I would have him go on as IC champion, defend the title a bunch of times, have a lot of strong feuds, and then issue an open challenge. Out comes Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn beats Cesaro for the IC championship upon his debut. Something like Paige, you know what I mean? So I thought that'd be pretty cool, especially given the history between those two, and then those two could feud over the IC championship. But that's just the way that I would do it. And the second question was, should Daniel Bryan rename one of his finishers, either the Yes Lock or the Knee Plus, to the Stone Crusher as a tribute to the deceased fan? So first of all, my thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to the deceased fan. His name was Connor. I forgot his last name, but I think he was part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Daniel Bryan granted him a wish about a year or so ago. But absolutely, I think that's a great idea. Probably not the Yes Lock. The Knee Plus, I've never really gotten into that. I don't even think the commentators acknowledge that that's the name of the finisher of the running knee that he does. So, and I don't know, even the Knee Plus kind of sounds stupid. So, yeah, that'd be phenomenal if you named it the Stone Crusher, the knee. The Yes Lock is fine, but definitely the knee, I think that'd be fantastic if he renamed it to that as a tribute to the fan. Andre G, his question was, what do you think about the WWE having Ambrose defend the United States Championship in a best-of-5 series match like they did with Booker T and Chris Benoit to help bring prestige back to the title? Love the idea. The only issue that I have with it is that Ambrose would probably not be the right person. And this is the way that I would go about it. Ambrose, I think as of today, breaks MVP's record as the longest reigning, or as of April 28th when I filmed this, breaks the record as the longest reigning WWE United States champion in the company history. Not all time, because I know there were people in WCW who held it longer, like for a year or two or whatever, or a year and a half or something like that. I think it was Lex Luger. But so Ambrose breaks the record today, but a lot of people have complained, and myself included, about the fact that he never defends, and even when he has defended it, it never means anything. It's on a random fucking episode of Main Event or Raw or whatever. So I think he's only defended the title like twice in the year of 2014. So that being said, since they're feuding with they're feuding with Evolution, Triple H, and Triple H is in charge, so Triple H could easily just strip him of the championship if he wanted to. And it would make sense because he's a heel. So I would have Triple H strip Ambrose of the championship, because unless they have him defend it and they cost him the championship, I guess they could do that too. But I don't know. I just don't see him defending the championship, quite honestly, especially if he's involved in a feud with Evolution and all this top tire stuff. He's not going to be defending the U.S. Championship quite as often, if at all. So that being said, I would have Triple H strip Ambrose of the United States Championship, and then you can vacate the championship and then do a best of five series between two individuals to crown a new champion. I think that'd be fantastic. I love the tournament idea for the IC title. Now you can do something with the U.S. title. The best of 5 series, I think it's a great idea. I don't remember the last time WWE ever did a best of 5 series. I know TNA did one recently with a best of 3 with Sonata and Tigre Uno, which was less than underwhelming because we don't really know much about those two, but I digress. So yeah, I think that'd be phenomenal. Who the two people would be to compete for the championship, I have no idea. Probably two established guys like Dolph Ziggler and The Miz or Damian Sandow or whoever else, and that'd be phenomenal. So great idea. Paul S. He's got 3 questions. His first question was, since AJ Lee is taking time off, do you think it would be better if she and Punk both return as a heel couple? So if AJ, like Edge and Lita, he says. So AJ Lee is definitely coming back before Punk. I've always said this since the beginning, but since I found out that I really realized that it was real, that it was a shoot. But I don't see Punk coming back anytime soon, but he will be back. He definitely will be back at some point. I don't see him coming back with AJ Lee. AJ Lee will probably be back on television the next month or so. That's an interesting idea, but Punk has really never needed a valet or a manager. I mean, even his thing with Paul Heyman a couple years ago, that was phenomenal. It was entertaining. They have history, so it made sense. But Punk he can hold his own on the mic, of course. He's one of the best mic workers in the WWE right now. I mean, technically not in the company, but he was at the time of his when he was with the company. He's one of the best mic workers they had. So he's never really needed a manager or a valet. So it would be unnecessary. It would be cool, but they'd never really acknowledged the fact on television that they were really a couple. So I don't think it's necessary. AJ Lee can go on her own too, but it would be cool though, I guess. His next question was, now that Big Dave Batista is taking time off after Extreme Rules, do you think it would be wise for Triple H to call up Mason Ryan and hire him as a temporary enforcer for Evolution? Now, I know there were rumors going around a couple months ago saying that they're going to bring up Mason Ryan to replace Roman Reigns in the Shield. Absolutely fucking not. Mason Ryan, about a year ago, it's funny, because I didn't really watch NXT all that much at the time, but I liked he has a really good build, of course. He's built like a fucking monster. Looks like Scott Steiner. But he's shit in the ring. He's improved. He had a good match with Tyson Kidd a couple days ago, but Tyson Kidd kind of carried that match up, so I'll give him that much. And but he has really no charisma. He's got an awesome theme, but aside from that, he really has nothing about him that makes him stand out except for his physique. He's like the Rob Terry of the WWE, quite honestly. But no, he should definitely not be called up. No one should be added to Evolution. I was saying this yesterday on Twitter, but Evolution, I think, is only a temporary thing. Even if Ric Flair comes back tonight, I don't even see him joining, nor does he need to. It's going to be cool to see Ric Flair with Evolution, but he doesn't really need to be there. He can't, at this day and age, and with the bigger pops that he's gotten in the last few years since he came back, he doesn't need to turn heel. He's not going to be there every week. Shield doesn't. Someone suggested that they bring in Shield to do with bring in Sting to do with the Shield and Ric Flair with Evolution. I guess it'd be cool, but Sting would be really, really weird, to be honest with you. I want to see Sting on television on WWE TV at some point, but that's not the right role to put him in. The Shield doesn't need a manager. Evolution doesn't need a manager. But my point being is that Evolution doesn't need to call anyone up. They don't need to replace anyone in Evolution, especially Roman Reigns. Some people were suggesting that. I don't really see that happening at all. Mason Ryan would probably be the worst choice. Interesting idea, because he is kind of like the Batista 2.0, but Mason Ryan is still very, very green, which is funny because he's been in wrestling for on the main roster for 3 years now. But his third question was, do you think that in the near future, Jeff Jarrett's newly created GFW promotion will feature or present WWE and TNA or maybe even future ROH stars? How do you perceive his company? And will it knock Ring of Honor as the third best wrestling promotion in the world / North America? I've said this last week, but I don't think it will ever be a competitor to the WWE or TNA. I mean, I would love to see him prove me wrong. Jeff Jarrett, go right ahead, prove me wrong, and have it be one of the best companies one of the best wrestling companies that's ever been produced. I just honestly don't see him finding much success in it, because if he couldn't find success with TNA, and he did find success with TNA, but it wasn't as big as he hoped, I assume. So, and it wasn't really the alternative, and it was for a couple of years when it first started, but after 5 years or so, it became WWE Light, quite honestly. So, I don't see him finding much success with it. He might create future stars. If anything, they're going to find people off the free agency list. Maybe like an AJ Styles is probably the biggest name that comes to mind. That might be a part of his promotion. But everyone else, I don't know. Who else can you possibly hire? All the good names are currently in WWE, TNA, or Ring of Honor. So he might present the other companies with future stars, but I don't really see it. But interesting idea, though. I wish him all the best of the luck in the world. And now moving on to Twitter questions. At Sal D'Angelo Jr., his question was, with Batista leaving after Extreme Rules to promote his movie, what do you think will happen with the Shield, Triple H, and Randy Orton? So I kind of answered this question before, but not really. Batista, it's not confirmed that he's leaving. It's just rumored. Because I know Jericho was rumored to be leaving a couple years ago after a feud with Punk, and he stuck around for another 3 more months or so. So you don't really know with Batista. I don't think he's going. Oh, he's going to promote the movie. I think he said film the movie now. But yeah, go promote the movie. When he comes back, he'll probably continue to promote the movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, and go on SummerSlam, probably in the title chase. But Evolution's only a temporary thing. I'm fine with that. I like Evolution being back and feuding with the Shield. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to the Extreme Rules matchup. But I don't think they need to replace Batista with anyone, a Roman Reigns or Ric Flair or Mason Ryan as suggested before. It's fine. What you do with Triple H, you could probably do Triple H or Roman Reigns. I know that's been rumored for a while. I said that in last week's video. With Randy Orton, I have no idea. Someone suggested him versus Johnson. I don't want to see that for the millionth fucking time, to be quite honest with you. Randy Orton versus Dean Ambrose. I don't know if you do that for the U.S. title. Probably not. I would like to see it for the U.S. title, but I don't think WWE would do that. But you could do Orton versus Ambrose, Orton versus Seth Rollins. I don't know. There's really not much for Orton to do right now. I don't want to see him versus Daniel Bryan for the millionth time either. So I can't really tell you. But I don't know. I look forward to whatever they do. It's really up in the air. But I think it's a definite. They're going to continue the Triple H versus Roman Reigns feud. So at the Average Grunt's question, he sent me a question on Twitter to refer to his comment in another video I posted, the WWE Draft video posted a couple days ago. It was a bit of a longer question, so bear with me here, but his question was, what do you think about my Survivor Series idea that I posted on your draft video? Okay, so his question is, nowadays Survivor Series isn't what it used to be, a show where all the big-name talent will get a team together and face their rivals. Now we get one classic Survivor Series match a year, and the rest of the card is just like all the others. But what if, between the Monday after the last October pay-per-view and Survivor Series, we use the concept of bragging rights and split the roster into two teams with the draft? It doesn't have to be like Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. It could be Team Genesis versus Team Omega or some shit like that. And then have those two teams fight each other to win a trophy and or other prizes like spots in the Royal Rumble, etc. Have a few classic Survivor Series matches, one of which being for the trophy/prize, along with a few title matches, including having the team captains, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and top contender, fight for the title. You can also have it be so the champion is forced to team up with his worst enemy to fight the other team's captain, who is an up-and-coming name in the company. It would bring back the excitement of the brand versus brand dynamic and give the Survivor Series some much-needed importance again. Love the idea. It might be a little too complicated. I mean, I don't think it's too complicated for WWE, I guess. But in theory, I think it's a great idea. I've said this in my draft video a couple of days ago, but I love the idea of the brands. You don't need to bring back two brands. But to take Survivor Series more seriously, anything to get the pay-per-view more importance, get more eyes on that pay-per-view is a plus. I mean, Survivor Series 2011, I thought was great. They treated that with more importance than they did past pay-per-views by bringing back The Rock. But Survivor Series last 2 years, they couldn't have cared less about it. 2012 I thought was very good, but the build-up to it was shit. And then last year's pay-per-view, the build and the event itself was shit. So they need to treat that pay-per-view with more respect, especially given the fact it's been around for over 20 years, 25 years or something like that. And it's one of the big four pay-per-views. So, and it doesn't feel like it. If anything, Money in the Bank is one of the big four pay-per-views or Extreme Rules or whatever, because they don't treat Survivor Series any better than they do any of the other B pay-per-views. So I love the idea. They should definitely go with that. I think it's very unique. So great idea all around. At DAJOSC11, his question was, who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? So a very popular question that's been going around. People have been saying this for the NBA, MLB, and whatever. Now it's come time for the people of wrestling to discuss who would be on their wrestling Mount Rushmore. So if we're picking four people here, it would be Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and John Cena. If we're going to put five people, I'd include The Rock. But the only reason I put Stone Cold over Rock, and if you're talking about mainstream, like cultural icon, that The Rock is a bigger star over Stone Cold. 9 out of 10 people will recognize The Rock over Stone Cold. If you just go up to a casual fan or something. But in the wrestling world, Stone Cold, I think, was a bigger name than The Rock. He was always on top during the Attitude Era. So, I don't know. I think Rock was I don't know. It's really hard to say whether who's better, Rock or Austin. That's like a 2-hour-long video that I can go on here, or a 2-hour rant. But between those two, I think the bigger face in WWE was Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, 4 people, Sammartino, Cena. Whether you like Cena or not, he's been the face of the company for the last 10 years, so there's no doubt about that. Whether you hate him or love him, he has to be on the Mount Rushmore wrestling. So Sammartino, Cena, Stone Cold, and Hogan. But at 5 people, if you're going to put 2 people, squeeze 2 people in there, and it's Rock and Austin. So at Tony Kegger, his question was, Do you watch any indie promotions? No. The only two promotions that I really watch are WWE and TNA, if only because they're the most accessible. I mentioned this in my last video, but the only real indie promotion, I don't even know if you can call it an indie promotion, but mainstream promotion that that I would consider watching outside of WWE and TNA is ROH. And I said that last week in last week's video that I would definitely consider it when I get more time after the semester ends in a couple months or in like the next few weeks or so. I just don't have the time at the moment, but I really don't have any time to go out of my way to watch Dragon Gate USA or Chikara or PCW or whatever the hell is whatever else is out there. I know they have great wrestling and whatever, but for me, I don't know. It's just not about the wrestling and the great wrestling. Oh, like, oh, this is the best wrestling in the world. I mean, okay, it might have the best wrestling in the world, but for me, it's about the storytelling. It's about the drama, and WWE does it best. Impact has some good storylines here and there. I mean, far and few between. But it's a mainstream promotion. I love wrestling. As much wrestling I can get in, I would love to watch it. Indie wrestling, I'm going to be promoting or putting up a video on this in the next couple of days talking about indie wrestling. But I go to indie events. I go to Northeast Wrestling and New England Championship Wrestling, which I started going to about a few months ago at the start of the school year. I go to those events when I can. They're in the area, so I go to them. The tickets aren't too bad. They're like $10, $15. It's a fun night of wrestling. I mean, it's not mainstream or anything, but New England Championship Wrestling, they have guys like Matt Hardy there. They had Hogan there a few years ago. I've met a number of stars. Like I said, I met Matt Hardy there. I met Booker T, Dusty Rhodes, Teddy DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. So many stars have gone through New England Championship Wrestling. Tommy Dreamer. I've met so many through there. And then New England Championship Wrestling, they're on YouTube every week. They're really fun to go to every month. They have a regular show on a monthly basis. It's only a few miles down from where my college is, where I'm filming this video right now. So I go to them every once in a while. But as far as indie promotions that I watch, like Dragon Gate and stuff like that, I don't. And it's not, even if I did have the time, I probably wouldn't, to be honest with you. And that's not meant to be any slight towards those companies. It just doesn't really interest me. It's not that maybe it would interest me if I checked it out. And I have never checked out. I've never watched a show of Dragon Gate or Chikara or anything, but the wrestling might be amazing. And don't get me wrong. I don't know. It's just about the storytelling to me. And maybe they do have storytelling. I don't mean to come out as ignorant, but even if I did have the time, and I'm too busy to kind of go out of my way to watch other stuff outside of WWE and TNA at the moment. But I don't know. I just like the WWE and the grandeur feel that has around it. So I might check out PCW or something at some point, Chikara and whatever else. But I don't know. It doesn't really interest me, to be honest with you, even though the wrestling might be amazing. At Cody Collier 12, his question was, what do you think about WWE, or what do you think WWE will be like in 10 years, and who could you see leaving WWE? Probably like half the roster. Randy Orton and John Cena might still be around. I don't even know about Orton. Daniel Bryan maybe, but guys like Big Show, Mark Henry, Christian, Rey Mysterio, Kane, so many guys are going to be gone in 10 years. Maybe even Triple H. Triple H is definitely going to be behind the scenes 10 years from now on a permanent basis. So, I mean, not even some of these guys like Kane, Big Show, Mark Henry, Christian, they're not going to be gone in 10 years. They're going to be gone in the next few years. So I can't even tell you what the roster is going to be looking like in 10 years. If you went back to 2004, 10 years ago, and told people what the roster would be like today, they probably would have never believed you. So it's really hard to say. I would just kind of want to wait and see. I'm excited for what the future will bring, so I can't really tell you. But it's going to be looking like a great roster. If now is any indication that they continue to build towards the future, then they should be fine. At WWE Green Lizard, his question was, why is WWE promoting Punk through videos and articles even though they are ignoring him? Any reason behind this? I don't think they're really promoting him through videos or articles at all. I know he was in the article for, what was it? The top 10 mic workers. I know, but you kind of have to put him in there because people would start complaining. I know Dusty Rhodes was bitching on Twitter about being number 5. When I heard him complaining, I thought he was not included on the list at all, but he was number 5, so I thought that was dumb. But the fact that he was complaining, not the fact that he was number 5. But they kind of had to put Punk on there. I mean, whether you like him or not, he's different from Benoit. Like, the whole situation's different. They just don't really want to acknowledge him. They don't want to encourage people to continue to chant for him and stuff like that. He really, you said that he's been in videos, but I don't think he has for the most part. I mean, they took him out of the whole Undertaker thing because he faced Undertaker last year at WrestleMania, but with all the Undertaker footage, he's facing Brock Lesnar this year, they didn't include him in any of that footage at all. So I don't know what you're talking about there. So they do continue to ignore him because they don't want people to continue to chant for him to come back because it's not their fault. I mean, the fact they might have neglected him or not giving him time off, that might be technically their fault. But the fact that he left was it's on Punk. It's on Punk's behalf. He left. It was it's his decision to come back whenever that might be. I do think he'll be back, whether it's in a non-wrestling role or he will be wrestling. I don't know, but he will be back at some point. I can guarantee you that. But they're really not promoting him at all. So even though they are ignoring him, I know he was in that one article, but aside from that, I really haven't seen WWE promote Punk at all. He's still technically under contract until like July or something. That's why he's still on the roster page on the website. But aside from that, they're really not promoting him at all. At Justin Godsey, his question was, if you could form a four-man faction, 2 from WWE and 2 from TNA, who would it be and what would you name them? So this question would be completely different had it been a couple of years ago when the TNA roster wasn't so depleted. I mean, right now almost everyone's gone. Styles left, Sting left. So many people left in the last few months or so. So it's really changed my answer. But this is not a creative or original idea, but it was stolen from WWE 12. If you can recall, they had the Barrett, Sheamus, McIntyre, and Regal faction. I would do something similar. I would take Barrett and Sheamus from WWE, and then Magnus and Rob Terry. I mean, Rob Terry is terrible. Like I said, TNA's version of Mason Ryan, but he's the closest thing to. I mean, if they had Douglas Williams, I'd include him, but they don't really have much English talent on the TNA roster. I know there's Rockstar Spud, but with Barrett, Sheamus, Magnus, Rockstar Spud, he's kind of like the odd man out, especially in his current gimmick. But Rob Terry could be like the muscle of the group, like the Ezekiel Jackson was to the Core a couple of years ago. And, you know, God mentioned the Core. I don't even want to mention that shit. But, yeah, Rob Terry would be the muscle, and Magnus, Barrett, and Sheamus. Like the UK Connection or something like that, World Elite, British Invasion, whatever you want to call them. Those would be that four-man faction from WWE and TNA. Final question comes from at JJF Tweets. His question was, do you think being identical twins will hold back the Usos? What level should they be as singles competitors? So I was thinking about this a couple days ago too. The Usos, I know there was a rumor going on in like 2011 that they were going to break up, and the first thing that came into my head is like, what the fuck are they going to do with these guys as singles competitors? They're really not all that great on the mic. They're awesome in the ring, but that's only because they're together. If you go back and watch their singles matches from last week with Axel and Ryback, I don't blame it on Ryback or Axel or even the Usos. It's just the Usos really aren't as exciting in singles competition as they are in tag team. They're a tag team. They're not like the Hardys or even Team 3D kind of broke off and they became their own guys. Devon, not really, but Bully Ray went on to become one of the best heels in the business. Jeff Hardy became a successful singles competitor, Edge and Christian. So like teams like that, the Rockers and stuff like that, Jannetty and HBK, the Usos, I really can't see them being much outside of a tag team. I don't think they should ever really break up either, if only for that reason. I think they're a lifelong tag team, which is fine. I don't really think there's anything wrong with not being in a tag team. But what level should they be as singles competitors? I don't think they should ever break up, to be honest with you. But if they did break up, they would just use them as enhancement talent. I mean, unless one of them gets a giant makeover, but I don't see that happening. And even if they did branch off on their own, I don't see them getting much success. And I love the Usos, but they're a tag team for life, and I think that's the way it should be, because being identical twins will definitely hold them back. And I was thinking the same thing about the Bella Twins, but the Bella Twins, both of them, have really altered their image in the last year or so since they came back to the WWE. And the appearance of both divas, I mean, aside from like the boob size and stuff like that, is visibly different. Even, I mean, Nikki Bella has a bit more meat on her than Brie does, and Brie, I don't know, she has like a longer face than Nikki does. So their appearances are vastly different. And I mean, they looked identical a couple years ago, and I would not have been able to tell the difference between the two. But they've changed a lot in the last couple of years. But they're women though, so it's different. With the Usos, they're pretty much the same guy. And it's funny because 4 fucking years later, and I still can't tell the difference between Jay and Jimmy. And I know the whole tattoo thing, and that one of them has a tattoo, the other doesn't, but you can't really see that when they're wrestling most of the time. And I can't even remember who has a tattoo and whatever. I can never really keep that straight because they have such similar names, Jimmy and Jay. I can't even remember who was the one that was dating Naomi. I don't know, the Trinity. But even still, I don't see them becoming much more than a tag team outside of enhancement talents if they did break up. So that's this week's question, guys. I always appreciate you guys sending in questions. If you want to send in a question, leave a comment on my Facebook page at Bram Justin Matthews. Like I said last time, I put up the where you could drop your question and stuff, usually on Sunday night. So be prepared for that. Or you can follow me on Twitter at WrestleRant and tweet me with the hashtag or tweet me with a tweet with the hashtag AskGSM with your question. It will be included in next week's video. You can drop a question down below in the comment section. I will include it there also. So with that being said, guys, thanks for all the questions. Once again, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that great stuff. And I'll see you right back here next week. This is GSM, signing out. Till next week, guys.